The Chargers were an absolute disaster on Sunday, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and it cost them their undefeated record.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Droegemeier. We've been covering the Chargers now for 10 seasons, but this is our 8th year as a host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day. Thank you to the everydayers out there for making us your first listen. We especially appreciate it after just, the disaster that we saw on Sunday, that you guys continue to show up and be here to vent with us and kind of come to terms with what happened on Sunday morning. But to make sure you never miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. And David, this game had every part of, the recipe for a disaster. The Chargers were the better team. They didn't play like it on Sunday, and it cost them in a big way.
It really did. It seemed like they were just sleepwalking through the beginning part of this game. Really sloppy, really ugly football. Made a lot of mistakes, and those mistakes came back to bite them.
Absolutely, and we're going to talk about all of it, right? I mean, it's the penalties, 14 penalties in this game. Super uncharacteristic, undisciplined, bad turnovers, losing the turnover battle again. You can't force turnovers against two young quarterbacks the last couple weeks. And you're giving the football away, which is another recipe for disaster. And we'll talk about the offensive line, which was just I feel like I'm going to say the word disaster a lot today because that's the only kind of fitting word. I mean, they were doomed by their offensive line, the penalties, the drops, everything. And, I think the worst part of it is you also lose Joe after already losing Rashawn Slater. And we'll talk a little bit about that and kind of the first news that's been out on that so far. But also, a really bad game is going to kind of erase two really, really good performances by Omarion Hampton and Tuli Tuipulotu, who both just absolutely went ballistic and were the only reason the Chargers didn't get, beat down in this game for the most part. But it starts with just the Chargers losing, going to 3-1 against an 0-3 Giants team, against a rookie quarterback in his first career start. And there's not a lot of, that didn't go wrong. Like, it's hard to even encapsulate, put your finger on, okay, this is why the Chargers lost the game, because there's no one reason, and there was no one thing that was going to cost the Chargers the game. If they were going to lose this game against the New York Giants, it had to be an all-around disaster, and that's exactly what we saw. But it started with, David, 14 penalties, 107 yards, the drops. You can't win football games that way.
It's horrendous. After only surrendering or only being flagged 3 times for 25 yards, you get flagged 14 times for 107 yards. Those are free, empty yards that you're just giving away. And it crippled the Chargers time and time again. And not only that, you're dropping the football, you're giving the football away. Like, the only way you can really allow a bad team to stay in the game is by giving them extra opportunities and giving them free yards. And that's all the Chargers did all game long, is give the Giants over opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And they made the most of those opportunities to the tune of a big upset win over the Chargers.
I mean, man, it feels like the Keys for Success show that we did. It's just like, everything we said they needed to do, they didn't do. And then part of that was just you couldn't make it easy for them, man. Like, you couldn't make it easy for a rookie quarterback in his first start. And you have multiple, third downs where you have a guy lined up offsides, right? In the big moments of this, you have, a defensive pass interference on a play where you're going to get off the field on third down. It's so many things that you could look at. But most importantly, I think offensively, especially given your offensive line situation and how good your running game was, like it made it really hard to run the ball. It's hard to run the ball on 2nd and 17, right? Like, there was one sequence where, the Chargers get a 3-yard carry from Omarion Hampton on first down. It's okay, you're still in a good spot. You can run the ball here if you want to. You can pass the ball if you want to. Oh, wait, no, false start, right? Okay, well, now it's 2nd and 12. You're probably not going to run. Okay, another false start. Okay, now you went from 2nd and 7 to 2nd and 17, and now you're hanging an offensive line that's not good out to dry because this is not an offensive line or an offense that can overcome these type of penalties. They just can't. You're putting themselves in bad situations, and for a Jim Harbaugh team, it's strictly inexcusable. Like, it's just, you get a Jim Harbaugh who have a well-coached machine, right? There's certain things that should come along with that. Now, did the Chargers get some calls missed against them, or should they have more calls? Should have been more even? Should, they had 60 more penalty yards than the Giants? No. But if you're leaving it to the referees in a game against an inferior opponent, that's on you. I'm not blaming the referees at all for this one. The Chargers were an absolute mess, and that includes 2 ugly turnovers. The Chargers defense had their flaws in this game, and we'll talk about some of them. But 11 of those points you cannot put on that defense because the Chargers had 2 ugly turnovers that gave a rookie quarterback, a rookie running back, and an offense that hadn't done really anything outside of one game this season insanely good opportunities inside the 5-yard line.
2 just huge, uncharacteristic turnovers by Justin Herbert. One of them, obviously, it gets tipped and a fantastic play by Dexter Lawrence, who almost takes it back. But a great job by Justin Herbert to, hustle up and, make sure that he doesn't get into the end zone.
Points. Yeah.
That saves some points for sure. And then, of course, the other one with Phillips, who was able to, pick off after a couple of offensive players kind of ran into each other while they were trying to do a pick play, basically. And then Justin Herbert throws it to nobody, throws it to the Giants defensive back, and he takes it back 56 yards where another, veteran player like Keenan Allen was able to show his hustle and stop a touchdown there. Just horrible situation there. You not only just the turnovers, but you're setting the Giants up in prime scoring opportunities, giving them such short fields. I remember clearly saying the Chargers cannot give the Giants short fields, and they gave them multiples, and they scored multiple points off of those multiple turnovers.
And the thing is, too, is on the other side of things, man, you had Bo Nix last week who had 3 interceptions going into that game. You have a rookie in his first start this week, and you can't force a turnover. I don't think the Chargers have forced and recovered a fumble in 4 games now. A quarter of the season, they haven't been able to bring one out and turn the ball over. So the offense in this game needed the boost. They needed to get that takeaway that could set their offense up with a short field because the special teams were a disaster as well, which will probably kind of go undermentioned on this show as well. But you're totally right. Justin Herbert in that situation, either he's throwing to a spot and your whole play was already blown up and Lyle McConkey's not going to be there. I don't know if, he sees a flag and he's trying to put the ball in the right direction so that it holds up because then it's, a catchable ball. I don't know what exactly happened there, but the whole play was just a disaster. You can't have, Tyler Conklin, who if I don't see him in the game next week, I'll be happy about it because it's just it doesn't feel like good things happen when the guy's on the field, right? But you can't have an offensive pass interference, but also not block the guy well enough to make enough space for your wide receiver. Just a bad play call in that situation. And I think a result of the offensive line being just so egregious that it changes and shrinks what your playbook is. But speaking of the defensive side, I don't care what Cam Scadaboo's yards per carry are in this game. The Chargers did get mauled to a certain extent on the ground. We talked about it on Friday's show, right? It was something that is kind of quietly happening is the Chargers have been allowing 5 yards per carry, but the teams they've been getting up on early in these games haven't been able to exploit it. The Giants got up early, and they grinded the Chargers down. They had, a ton of carries, a ton of yards, and it definitely exposed a weakness on this defense.
Yeah, 25 rushes for 79 yards for Scadaboo, but they were physical, hard yards. He was breaking tackles. And
a lot of that's because he had that goal line stand where you stop him 3 times for 0 yards. There were moments, but they couldn't get the negative play, a 4-yard loss, right? That makes Jackson Dart have to do something. So I think the numbers are a little misleading to your point.
It is for sure. And also, for that matter, you talked about Jackson Dart. 10 carries for 54 yards, including a 15-yard touchdown right up the middle where he was basically untouched.
Yeah.
That's just unacceptable. And we told you before the game, this guy was going to run. They were going to set this up to where they were going to use his legs, and they did. They used it to great effectiveness. Altogether, you gave up 161 yards rushing on the ground. Yeah. That can't happen. And you knew that was going to be a big part of the offense with a rookie quarterback trying to take the load off, trying to get them in advantageous down and distances, and it worked. You could not get off the field. And also, how on God's green earth did they give up so many 3rd and longs in this football game? It was mind-numbing and nauseating. The Chargers defense, after performing exceptionally well for the first 3 games, they did okay in this game, but it feels like they kind of fell flat.
I mean, both sides left something on the table for sure. You can't really pinpoint the loss on either side. I would definitely lean more offense.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
It doesn't excuse the defensive lapses and the penalties to keep drives alive. You're talking about multiple big 3rd and long conversions. What about a 3rd and 5 with the game on the line? You just have a dude 5 yards away at the sticks, sitting there wide open on the biggest play of the game with a chance to give your offense 2 minutes to go down and get a field goal. Like that changes the entire complexity of the game. But you can't let a Jackson Dart Giants offense convert 7 of 15 third downs. Like it's just, there's the blame on both sides. I'd say more offense because of one reason specifically, which is the offensive line, which once again was a total disaster. And you're not going to want to hear the numbers I'm going to tell you coming up after this, especially because Joe Alt had to leave this game. So we're getting into all that and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Every day we make decisions, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. Playing PrizePicks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football, especially if you're trying to get a game off of your mind. It helps to play with PrizePicks and watch a different game and maybe win some money there. All you have to do is pick more or less on player projections, just like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. I love how quick it is. You can make your lineup in under a minute. And my favorite part is PrizePicks just added stacks. So if I want to ride with a player, I can select their pass yards, their rush yards, and touchdowns all in one lineup. For this week, you can still get on the action because there's a doubleheader on Monday night, and you can go with Devon Achane to rush for more or less than 54.5 rushing yards, and combine that with Jamar Chase getting more or less than 64.5 receiving yards. It's that easy. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Guys, you probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. If you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet. That's exactly where Rugiet's Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can get hard and go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, even into the next day, and the process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online and discreet, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door if you're prescribed. And if you're ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom, head to rugiet.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Make sure to use our code so they know we sent you. David, one thing we didn't really talk about in the first segment enough was the offensive line. And the one issue we had with the Chargers offseason, right, is that we didn't want to be 4 weeks into the year and saying, okay, well, the offensive line is the reason that the Chargers were losing games, because guess what? That's how they lost big games last year. And I'll tell you that this game felt eerily reminiscent of that Texans playoff games, as far as the Chargers trying to work through being overmatched up front by a defensive line that was way better than your offensive line, and an offensive line that just couldn't get it together. Now, that being said, the Chargers are down at this point 3 starters in their offensive line in this game once Joe Alt goes out, right? You're missing Mekhi Becton because of a concussion last week. You're also missing Rashawn Slater for the season, and then you lose your Joe Alt. Who else is left, right, at that point? But, David, like, it can't be unusable. Like, you have to be able to either scheme around it, but, like, that's easier said than done because, man, like, who do you have confidence at this point? Because, I mean, you look across that line and like, there's multiple guys that are just playing unplayable games. Like, it's just that bad.
Yeah, Austin Deckler, 6 pressures allowed. Jamari Sawyer, 5 pressures allowed. Bradley Bozeman, 4 pressures allowed. Trev Pipkins, 3. Zion, according to, the early reports from PFF, only 1 pressure allowed. And then Joel 0 in only the 8 pass blocking reps that he was on the field for. But they basically have allowed Justin Herbert to get hit 26 times in the last 2 games. That's just completely unacceptable. How do you expect to continue to win football games if your quarterback is getting picked up off of the grass that many times? It's unacceptable. They ran the ball a little bit better in this game, but they could not pass protect to save their lives. And you talked about the Houston Texans playoff game. They were having a hard time with the stunts and twists in this game. The Giants were doing it, and they were having a lot of success. to really allow them to have some free rushers to get in on Justin Herbert. And any quarterback, no matter how talented they are, no matter how good they are, how elusive they are, you got a rusher in your face. That's really hard to be able to combat that. And it's hard to be able to look down the field and make plays if you don't have time to do it. Justin showed when he does have time, he can make the throws, but he didn't have enough time in this game to be able to sit back, survey the field, and make the plays because the offensive line just didn't give him enough time.
Absolutely not. I mean, it's unplayable. And like in the biggest moments, it reminds me of 2023, man, where Justin Herbert kept getting put in these situations where he has to lead the team down to try to go win the game by himself. And on those drives, they all unravel because you're getting destroyed in the backfield and you just have no chance. And in this game, while you're trying to come back, you have a 3rd and 2 in the 4th quarter, right? Near the end, near your own end zone. And you probably should have ran there. Chargers decide to throw. Justin Herbert hit immediately, still somehow got it to Keenan Allen, who was short of the sticks anyways. He drops it. That's terrible. Like that's a drive right there. Last real drive of the game before there's 18 seconds left, 30 seconds left trying to get a field goal. You're almost at midfield. Omarion Hampton rips off a big run to kind of jumpstart your offense a little bit. And then on a 3rd down, you have Jamari Sawyer beat badly on a stunt that effectively ends the game because you can't even go for it on 4th down there because now it's 4th and 25. Right. And they were keying in on Justin Herbert and his legs. They didn't let him get outside the pocket. They did some things well. Their coverage unit showed up pretty well as well. But man, like you can't have it. You're not going to win games when your offensive line is this bad. And to a certain extent, you can't replace 2 potential all-pro tackles. You can't replace your one offensive line upgrade on the interior in Mekhi Becton. You don't have the guys for it. But it really, really showed up in this game. And like, man, do they need these guys back? But like, the thing is, though, is if you lost these guys, but you had already, improved on Bradley Bozeman, if you had real competition for Zion Johnson that could fill in for Mekhi Becton.
It's kind of like we were talking about this the entire offseason, huh? It's kind of like we were a little bit worried about the quality of the offensive line all offseason, and people were telling us left and right, oh, they did enough, they're fine. They didn't do enough. It's clear and obvious through the first couple of games. Yeah, they were able to win some, but Justin Herbert's getting battered, and that cannot continue if the Chargers want to go where they want to go this season.
And if it's just Austin Dequis, if it's just Trey Pipkins, the guys replacing your starters, if it's just Jamari Sawyer, that'd be one thing. You're missing 3 offensive line starters. It's going to be hard for every team, but it can't be unplayable, which is what this offensive line is right now. And you lost Joe Alt in this game. According to Adam Schefter, initial belief is that Chargers left tackle Joe Alt, who has been ruled out, suffered a high ankle sprain in this game, which is somewhat good news. I mean, obviously, you see a guy carted off the field, you're afraid for the worst, especially when you're already missing someone for the rest of the season in Rashawn Slater. But man, like, who else is good? Who do you know is a good offensive lineman, even an average offensive lineman that was playing in this game after Joe Alt had to leave it?
Nobody.
I mean, the closest thing is Zion Johnson, and Chargers fans have been, screaming his name to the TV going on 4 seasons now. So, like, without him, like, you're cooked, man. Like, they need him back in the most desperate way. The one thing they had going for him is at least Justin Herbert on most snaps didn't have to be,
worried about
afraid that he was going to get blasted in the back and not be able to see it coming. And now you can't even say that.
Yeah, man, that was horrible. I mean, I just remember when that happened, I was like, this is just disaster strikes. I mean, that's your best offensive lineman.
Couldn't afford it.
Period. Yeah. Like, bar none, there's nobody even close to him. I mean, at least you felt like when he was out there, he was going to be able to provide some time for Justin on that left side, a guy that you can leave on an island and feel really confident that he's going to be able to win more of those battles than he loses. And then he goes down, you see him in street clothes in a boot. It's like, man, can it get any worse for the Chargers offensive line with that guy? They're clear, no, like actual really good offensive lineman left on this team, and now he's not going to be able to play, and he's going to be gone for who knows how long. I mean, it's a high ankle sprain, obviously, that can really change. It depends on the individual how long you're going to be out, obviously, but it's still, you're losing a guy that's kind of irreplaceable, and there's going to be a drop off, a considerable one, and there's really no way around it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And the thing is like with Rashawn Slater, with Joe Alt, with Mekhi Becton, you could have a decent offensive line, right? Without him, you have a disaster, and it's not even close. And once again, like, forget about winning next week. Forget about, what you can do after this, how you rebound. Like, Justin Herbert's going to get hurt. Like, he's going to get hurt. If you're giving up 26 quarterback hits in 2 weeks, it's just unsustainable. You're going to end up like a season like 2023 where your offense is unusable, right? And then Justin Herbert has to leave for the rest of the season and you win 5 games. Like, you're going to be closer to that unless you can get better play from this offensive line, period. And I'll stand on that until the end of the day. I mean, I don't care. Like, that's just what it is. Like, forget about losing games. You're going to lose your quarterback if you keep letting him get hit like this. And then you combine that, Lad McConkey, man, just not looking like himself. Like, we keep thinking this is the week. Maybe he gets more involved. Maybe it's better. Maybe he's the focal point. 1 catch for 11 yards on 6 targets. Like, had a bad drop in the very first drive, had 2 bad drops in the first half that both would have been first downs. One would have been a big play. And this offense just isn't the same without him being the focal point. And then one play where they actually tried to scheme him up and make him the focal point, it turns into an interception, man. Like, a lot going wrong offensively right now. And unfortunately, it covers up what was Omarion Hampton showing why he was a first-round pick. So we're going to talk about that in Peloton finally breaking out and more in today's Lockdown Chargers podcast. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-hour energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. I'm basically living off it right now, especially after that game. I needed a little bit of an extra boost, but what I love is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. I always reach for my favorite flavor. I love the transfusion flavor. It makes me feel like I'm on the golf course because I never have time to actually golf, but super excited to try the holiday flavors, including gingerbread snap. Very, very excited for that. I'm ready to feel the holidays, but enough with the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites that you love, or be bold and try something new. There's a bunch of them in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer, one of the best offers I've seen, because right now new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. That's a lot of football you could be betting on with that, and I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, building a parlay with the boys, even a same-game parlay. I love cooking those up, or even jumping in live action as the game unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping up with your fantasy lineup. And the odds are out, folks, for next weekend's home game with David Droegemeier in attendance against the Commanders. And somewhat surprisingly, the Chargers are opening up as 3-point favorites at home as they try to get one back. That would make this loss feel a lot better. You go and get one against a good Commanders team next weekend. Make David's birthday matter, right? That's what we're looking for there. But we'll see. Jaden Daniels reportedly probably going to play this week. We'll see what that line looks like, but there's also so many other ways to bet with FanDuel, which is what makes it great. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, David. Well, I do want to end the show somewhat on a positive note here. I mean, it's really hard to take away the bad feelings that this game gave to us, but as always, that's why we appreciate everyone making us your first listen, especially on the tough days, because it's tough to be here, but it really does help being able to get out here and vent to you guys and have you guys kind of be here with us to go through it. If you need a second listen, you want to get your mind off just specifically the Chargers, make sure to check out a double dose of Locked On NFL, 2 shows a day on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast from. But let's talk about Omarion Hampton, man. And it sucks because, like, look at the thumbnail for Friday's show on YouTube. You know, what was the plan? The plan was the Omarion Hampton show. A bad run defense they were going up against. A really good chance to protect your quarterback and your offensive line by running the football. And the only issue with the running game, David, is we didn't see enough of it because Omarion Hampton absolutely on Sunday showed why he was a first-round pick and why the Chargers running back group is in good hands.
Running angry, making big plays, just refused to be denied, was not going to allow himself to be taken down on first contact, and I love it. He was absolutely running with a purpose. 11 carries, 128 yards, 10.7 yards per carry, including a beautiful 54-yard house call where he was able to get a good block from wide receiver Trey Harris and then hit the sideline, and he would not be caught until he was in the end zone. That was awesome. A big time play. Also added 5 receptions for 37 yards. So again, 165 all-purpose yards for Omarion Hampton. Welcome to the NFL, kid. You definitely had a fantastic performance.
Absolutely, man. Like, if you would have told me the Chargers were going to rush 13 times for 152 yards in this game and lost, I probably wouldn't believe you. You know what I mean? But Omarion Hampton was just insane in this game. And I think, like, the Chargers offense around him kind of let him down. Greg Roman definitely didn't use him enough. And again, I think that's also part of the penalties, pushing them back and putting him in these, long situations where it makes it a lot tougher to run the football as part of it. But there's no excuse. If you're running, your quarterback averages over 10 yards per carry for a game, keep giving him the football.
Give him the ball. Yeah.
Especially when you're, like in a game where Justin Herbert's getting beat that badly, man. Like, how are you going to let him throw the ball 40 times when the running game actually is working? When you have 15 carries for 36 yards, I understand, okay, well, we can't use the running game because it's ineffective. What's the excuse in this one? You know what I mean? Yeah. But, man, like, for the long term, though, as far as, like, silver linings for this one, I don't know how you could be any more happy than what you're seeing with Omarion Hampton. Like, this last week, what did we tell you? Last week was the soft launch, right? Last week was the soft launch. This was a full-blown breakout, and it's going to get covered up by a disgusting Chargers loss that never should have happened. But you're talking about your rookie right now getting 165 total yards of offense after getting 129 yards of offense last week. This dude can carry your offense when he needs to, but it was the way the runs happen. That's what it was before he was breaking out, and that's what it is when he is breaking out, because that's when we saw it, right? Breaking a couple tackles just to get a negative, not a negative gain, and to gain 2 yards, but breaking 3 tackles to do it. In this game, he showed you a little bit more. He showed you the home run ability. Yeah. Breaks one to the right side, and then once he was in space, I mean, it shows you, like, man, give this dude a crease. And he can do this, right?
Yes.
54-yard touchdown, pulling away from defensive backs. Late in the game, you need a field goal to tie it. 3rd and 3, 4:51 remaining. Hampton breaks one to the left side, takes it 29 yards, gets you out of the shadow of your own end zone. You're on the 40-yard line, 20 yards away from being able to tie the game. What happens after that? Penalties, coverage breakdowns, disgusting play, and it ruins it. And none of those were his best run of the day. Best run of the day was 3rd and 1. Beast mode, breaking one tackle behind the line of scrimmage. It should have been a tackle for a loss. Breaks that. Another guy jumps on. He says, hey, I'll carry you too. Breaks out of that and then ends up with an 18-yard gain on something that should have been a negative 1-yard run. So obviously this game sucks, but you know what sucks? Using a first-round pick on a running back, that's not good, right? Using a pick like that, and people were already saying, did the Chargers use their first-round pick wrong? It would be hard to say that about Omarion Hampton this Sunday because he was their best offensive player. I mean, easily. To me, I don't know who's close. I don't know if there's anyone close to what he was able to do. Biggest problem, he only had 12 carries. The only problem is we didn't see more of him. But you could say the same thing for Tuli Peloton, who finally broke out, David. I mean, we're talking 4+ pressures in every game, back-to-back 6 pressure games that Tuli had going into it. You called it with your bold prediction. Hey, shout out Jose Alto as well, calling the big time Omarion Hampton break out the 50+ yard touchdown. You had, a Thier 1 week early on his 3.5 sack Tuli Peloton game. Tuli finally, David, it breaks out. And like we've seen with Tuli, when they happen, they can come in bunches.
They absolutely can, and they did. This was just another kind of vintage Tuli performance. And Jesse Minter told you, he was getting close. Like, he was absolutely affecting the game, and those stats were going to come. Well, they did a lot. 10 tackles, 4 sacks, 4. 1 forced fumble, 5 tackles for loss, 7 pressures, 7 stops, and a special teams tackle. That's literally doing anything and everything in your power to try to help your team win the game. Yeah. Make no mistake, the Chargers definitely did not lose because of the play of Tuli Peloton. He was fantastic in this game. It's great to see him finally get in that sack column because he's been close. Now he got to throw up that T 4 different times in this game.
It was great to see, and I think, a lot of it just comes down to his relentless effort, but like the Chargers would have gotten the ball run for 250 yards on them this week, if not for a Tuli Peloton and the physicality that he plays with. If every player played as physically as Tuli Peloton and guys like Derwin James do, we're talking about a different game here, right? It just is what it is, but I think that for him specifically, the short term of it all is, okay, hey, this dude shows you that he can be a game record. Now, unofficially 7 pressures in this game, 4 sacks, tackles for loss, run stuffs, you name it. He filled up the box score. Long term, though, okay, maybe this is the heir apparent to Khalil
Yeah.
Mack, right? And I think so that if you're looking for silver linings for this game and beyond this, because you're talking about a player in his third season, the Chargers will have a chance to extend after this year, but needing him to take that next step, we saw it. It was a lot harder to buy it because the actual sack production wasn't there.
Yeah.
Now it's there. And now you're looking at the whole package. Tui Peloton, a man amongst boys in a lot of moments of this game. And that relentless effort gotten Jackson Dart on the ground, three times. Russell Wilson had to come in and take one as well. Poor Russell Wilson. But great to see from Tuli. They still need more on the edge besides him.
Yeah.
But, man, now you get Khalil Mack back potentially in a couple of weeks. Now with this version of Tuli, Khalil Mack coming back, okay, now you're talking about a pass rush that I think would be feared and something that you can kind of hang your hat on defensively. The last guy I want to talk about here is Quentin Johnston, who, undoubtedly has taken another leap this year. But the reason he's last in the silver linings category is because he gets 8 catches, 98 yards on 13 targets, but also has 2 drops. And it's just it feels like 1 step forward, 2 steps back a little bit, but if you're great, you can handle a couple of drops here. That touchdown that he had was sick. It was a sick throw by Justin Herbert. It was a sick stutter move that he did to totally fool the cornerback and give that window to Justin Herbert to complete that pass, also staying in bounds to make it a touchdown. It's tough. I'd say overall a positive for Quentin Johnston, but at the end of the game, he has a play. Who knows what happens if he catches that long ball from Justin Herbert in the last drive of the game. They still have to get up and spike it. It probably only sets him up for a Hail Mary, so I'm not going to crucify him for it. But he has 4 touchdowns in 4 games, David, and there's just no way to fake that. Quentin Johnston has taken a leap.
No question about it. 4 touchdowns in 4 games is unbelievable for the kid who had some real drop issues, but didn't have the same level of production that he's providing so far this year. And it's clear that Justin Herbert trusts him. He's getting him the football. And more often than not, Quentin Johnston is rewarding that trust by catching the football. And yes, that route was just nasty. Probably one of the best routes that he's ever ran. Okay. To have that nice stutter and go, that double move to be able to get open. And Justin Herbert, like I said earlier, when you give him any time, he can put it anywhere on the field on a rope with accuracy and touch. And he did so, putting it in between the safety and the corner, allowing Quentin Johnston to get into the end zone once again here in his 3rd season. And by all accounts, this is a breakout for Quentin Johnston. 4 touchdowns in 4 games. Yeah, there's still things to improve upon in his game, but this is clearly a different player than we've seen in years past.
And I think the thing is there was a point where we talked about okay, at this point, Quentin Johnston might never live up to the first round hype, but you're just hoping you get a productive, usable player out of that. And I think he's already surpassed that, which I think is a big win.
Yeah.
That being said, contested catches are still not his thing, man. They're just not. And so when you're throwing it to him and giving him these chances with a congested offense and you're signed to throw to him, because he had 2 drops, but there's a couple contested catches that he could have come down with too. They're tough catches. He could have made the play on him and he didn't. I just don't know if that should be 13 targets to Quentin Johnston. You know what I'm saying? You still have to find ways to get all of these guys involved. And they did a good job of it, and they have done at certain points. But man, you got to get lag going. Quentin Johnston, I think the best thing is just the drops aren't totally derailing his game, which I think is probably the biggest benefit there. But you have Keenan Allen as well. I thought Rondé Gadsden was underused in this game too. So I just think that the offense is underwhelming. With Quentin Johnston playing at this level, when you have Ladd McConkey, when you have Keenan Allen, you should be able to put up more than 18 points. And you shouldn't, you know what I mean? So it's just it has to be better. But I'd say Quentin Johnston, the one thing you can't dispute is, man, this man's taken another step. And so far through this 4 games, he's been the wide receiver 1 for the Chargers. But that's going to wrap things up for today's show. We will be back with you guys on Tuesday morning with Buy or Sell, getting into the biggest Charger storylines and overreactions. Maybe we were overrating this team all along, right? We want to hear about it. If you want to hit us up for that, give us your buy or sells at LockedOnOAC on Twitter, at LockedOnChargers on Instagram. We're calling to the voicemail line at 323-524-7924 and give us your 30-second Chargers buy or sell on there. But thank you guys, as always, for making us your first listen, for being an everydayer. When the games are great and when the games are really tough, we really appreciate it even more. But to make sure you never miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. And most importantly, let us have those overreactions. We know there's a lot of them flying around. We will back on Buy or Sell Tuesday to break them all down. But until then, guys, take it easy and go Bolts.